I had a piece written tonight, just giving some pro tips, things I've learned in my 36 years on this earth. I started to write it out. It's about if you're seeking guidance from outside sources or a trainer in general. I was starting to write it out, but it's so much, my hand starts hurting. So I was like, oh, I'll print it. I have a printer now. Well, all of a sudden, my printer doesn't want to print now. It's connected to Wi-Fi, did all the updates and everything. I keep sending it to the printer and it's not printing. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do my next video in place of it. I kind of wanted to talk about people who have had to parent their parents. They never really got a chance to be a child because they've always had to be the bigger person and, essentially grow up before their time because their parents just weren't capable of self-regulation techniques because they were so busy programmed into working harder and having no empathy in their wiring from their childhood. Obviously, we've heard so much about that. I'm just here to say that I'm not blaming my parents. I'm not on here crying like boo-hoo, I have crappy parents that weren't there for me, and this and that. I have a sad story, and I'm not, it is sad. But am I going to hold on to that sadness? Because if I hold on to the sadness and I hold on to chasing healthy connections with people who aren't capable of, not even people. My mom and I are okay. Me and my mom are good for the most part. So my dad is very childish. He's stuck. Doesn't take much serious. He has no critical thinking skills. He can't read a room. Like, say for example, when my leg was crushed and I was on complete bed rest. I can't tell you the number of times this man stomped, bumped into my leg, bum rushed me, just completely self-centered. Oh, sorry, as he stomps on my foot that was crushed in an accident. It's weird. Oh, sorry. It's just weird. I was scared to sleep out in the living room and on my bed I bought because it was easier for my mom to sleep in with my son. So, because I couldn't get up and get him in the middle of the night. He was around 1. And just obviously easier. So, because if my foot hung off the end of the bed and he needed to get right there to grab something, he would just knock into my leg. Oh, sorry. Like I said, I couldn't tell you the number of times. And it's okay. Or if somebody's coughing and hacking or, choking on food or just something's going on that's you can't really take the time to address whatever need he has. He will just say it. He will just talk. He doesn't care what's going on. He will just, he only cares about his agenda. It's very hard living with an individual like that. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I didn't realize the things that I needed to hear. My EMDR therapist told me that if I was not in the environment I'm in right now, that she would discharge me from therapy because all the tools and techniques that we've been working on, I've already had inside of me. Because I told her, I've already accepted the fact that my father I don't even like calling him that. He is stuck in child mode. He does things to like instigate my child who's autistic. He's 3. He knows I don't like giving him a bunch of sugar because it creates behaviors or things that, so he just does whatever he wants. And it's like, we're under the same roof right now. And it's like, you do not care about his health. He wants to be everybody's best friend. And then it's like, if you try to address or say anything to him, he's mad. He's like a child. He throws temper tantrums. Like I said, you can't tell him anything. There's so many things I could go on and on about. I wouldn't. It's like, I am so exhausted from being, always having to be the bigger person and always being the adult. But that died in 2023. I'm no longer living in his illusions. Like, he thinks he's the greatest father ever, and that being controlling and abusive and overbearing, self-centered, short-tempered there's nothing wrong with that, because to him, he's never been physical. One of my first memories of him is I was trying to tell him what my brother was doing to me, and I was a kid. I thought I was talking, but I guess I was probably crying and screaming because my brother would just do some weird things to me while my dad was gone at work and my mom was at work, and I had to be home with him. I think I was at like 5. We had just moved out of state. So like, I wasn't in school yet. There was like a little, just like I said, or when I was home from school, I just like, it was just a lot of weird things. And like, my first memory is me trying to tell my dad, I remember, and he doesn't do crying. So he just gives you whatever you want, and as long as you're not crying or you're upset, like, he doesn't care what it is. He will do whatever. Because the second you cry, the second you show emotion, the second he has to be held accountable for his cruelty, you will see the real him come out. And then he's constantly apologies. The word I'm sorry makes my skin crawl. Like, I'm like, not even that my skin crawl. I'm just like, okay, I don't even, like, that word is so empty to me at this point. And he thinks he's 60 some years old. He doesn't need to change. And I'm like, people like him are proof of why and how important it is to grow, or what it looks like not to expand your mind. Like, he's aging terribly. He has cancer. And I told my mom, like, his cancer is karma for him bullying his family the whole entire life. He never provided safety. He had a few drinks and told my mom that he's like, oh, I like drinking. It makes me nicer. He's like, you look pretty when I'm drinking. Basically is what he was saying. He's like, you look gorgeous. He's like basically saying you're only pretty when I'm drunk. Like, but he was making it as a joke. That's just how he's always been. Like, his jokes are just completely cruel and disrespectful. They're not even funny. And it's like, regardless if that's a joke or not, he was so proud of himself. He like came to me and he was like talking to me about it. I'm like, yeah, I heard it. And I said, really not. Okay, it's not funny. He's so mentally underdeveloped. It's sick. So, like, anyway, my therapist said she was like, if you were not in this situation, she said, I would completely discharge you from services. She said, because it's like everything I tell her I do, she's like, we do that in therapy. And she calls it a method, like the empty chair method. I was like, I've already accepted that he is who he is, so, like, I'm not going to keep seeking things. Like, I've already mentally grieved his funeral. Like, he's dead to me. There's no zero, the connection, whatever connection, a father-daughter, it's completely severed. I just look at him like he's got dementia, and I work at a group home because I used to work at group homes. That's just what I do. He's my client until I get out of there, because it's just things keep going on that, and like I said, this capitalism, it's not just our fault. It's capitalism, okay? Some of us are more fortunate than others. Some of us, my father called the police on me when I was like 20, 21, something like that. I can't remember. It was 2008, or 2007. Okay, so yeah, I was pretty young. I was, for stealing the car that I didn't steal. And so I got a felony. That knocked 10 years off my life. I had to get crappy jobs. You know what I mean? And it's like my therapist, I'm getting off topic. My therapist, because like I said, there's so much fucked up stuff to share. My therapist was telling me that, it's called the empty chair method, because I said I just sit and I talk and I have conversations with him like he would be an adult about it, and I just talk. And she said that's what we call the empty chair method. She said that's a really good technique. I said because it does make me feel better, or there's just different things that I do that are healing to me. Like I have playlists when I'm mad. He does something, he makes these comments, and he's just so mean and cruel with he talks under his breath. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard him tell me shut the fuck up under my breath. Like he can't even really stand me. We've gotten in fights. Oh, anyway, the story where he got one of my first memories of him getting physical. I was trying to cry. I thought I was telling him what my brother was doing in my head, but I must have been really crying, because I remember him telling me to shut the fuck up, and he took me by the back he put his hand on the back of my head and slammed me down on the carpet. I remember I ate the carpet. I still remember how the sting felt when he did it. And that was my very first memory, knowing that he couldn't be trusted. He didn't care. He didn't want to hear it. Didn't have time for it. And like I said, it's that programmed work harder mentality that I blame for all of this corruption. And, if it is to me, it's an epidemic. And I'm here to talk about it. Like I said, speak up loud and proud about all the things that have been committed against humanity and our habitat. Like I said, building on every square inch, unnecessary things that we don't even need. We don't need all these successful people. We need more people who are peacemakers and growers and recyclers and cleaners, and we need less boutiques, less nail salons, less hair, less of a lot. Humans are not the only species that matter. And it's like this entitlement has created such a disturbing twist of events on Earth. And I'm here to stop it. I'm not going to stop until I do, because like I said, today was a rough day with my dad, because he just does these. He gets me so flustered, and I can't stand that he does, but he just does. I realize now that I can't be around him. And if I am around him, I'm going to have to I'm just going to have to leave the room. But like I said, it's really hard when he gives my son junk or questions my parenting, or like my daughter. We were going somewhere today. She was grabbing, they get donuts. And I'm like, I'm on a whole nutrition kick. I've completely changed my diet, cut all that stuff out. And then they just get 2 boxes of it. So my daughter was grabbing a donut on the way out. This is how he is all the time, every time you talk to him. And she goes, hey, can you shut the donut box for me? Because we were going somewhere trying to hurry up and get out, because my son, if he catches us leaving without him, he could either accept it and wave, or he could have a complete meltdown. And I don't want to leave my son like that, especially with my father, my father, who can't really handle crying and screaming. He's going to further dysregulate and cause aggression in my son. So she just asked him to do it real quick. And instead of him just saying, yeah, I got you, he's got to say, why do I have to do it? Why do I have to always do everything? And I said, just ignore him. I said, just let's go. And he's like, I forgot how helpless you are. But this is what he says with everything. And like I said, I can take it, say what you want to me, but a child's development is very crucial. Like, how you speak to them is how they're going to speak to you. So you speak to her like garbage. You think that I'm going to, for one, just stand back and respect your authority because it's your house. I told him one day that I was here to escort him to hell. I don't care whose house it is. It's my house now. I said, I'm tired of you stomping around here bullying your wife. I've seen you bully your wife for 36 years, basically. And that, the grandkids are even wondering why they got married, because all they do is fight. It's super toxic. They can't even stand each other. It's super toxic. It's always men. They're never going to admit it. It's just, like I said, there's so many weird things going on. And, it's just possible to still create a sanctuary so strong inside of you that you rise above it. Like I said, I'm not sitting here blaming but it does cause toxicity, your mind to be exposed to these chemicals, and it does imprint. If I didn't have such high awareness, I probably would be them. Thank goodness that I do have this awareness. So I'm not my child. I'm trying to get her in some therapy so she can, because she won't, necessarily listen to me. You know how kids can be. But I'm going to also pray for her growth, and that, she finds her way, and that I continue to find my way so I can help her light the way. So I'm going to cut it there. Hope I don't mean to sound whiny or anything. I mean, it's just like I said, it is so exhausting. And if there's anyone out there that totally understands what it's like to have to parent, not just one parent, both parents. Love my mom, but she gets mad. She's very critical. She's a harsh critic. But I don't take offense to her as much. I know how to handle her now, and I shouldn't even have to say that, but it's just the situation I've been dealt right now. And all it does is give me fuel and motivation to, now when I get back up, it's just up. So I'm good. I'm turning it into humor. I told her she's gonna, but me and my mom make jokes about stuff, because we bicker, but it's still not to the extent of my dad, where he's like, I'll beat you like the little bitch you are. He told me that and kicked me out when I was 17. I didn't look back until I had to. And it's just been a long road. Self-sabotage, and then stop self-sabotaging, then life, and then, like I said, capitalism, housing is a human right. It's not a privilege, it's a human right. So, that's all. I'm gonna leave it there.